Hello everybody, we're real happy to be here with you today, and what I'm going to do primarily is be speaking with Talia Pura, who is president of Theater Santa Fe, and we're going to be talking about Theater Walk this year, which has changed a little bit, but we are so excited to have everybody attend this year. So we really hope this will give you an opportunity to finally get involved with us, and I will answer all the questions. So Talia, can you please tell me right now, what is Theater Walk?
Theater Walk is a chance for audience to have a smorgasbord sampling of all of the theater that is produced in Santa Fe. It's an opportunity to introduce what we do as theater companies to a wider audience. We're publicizing this like crazy, and we hope that a lot of people who were rather unaware of theatrical happenings in Santa Fe to attend and find out that yes, there are dozens of fabulous companies that have something to say, and they need to get there. So they're going to see little samplings of 19 companies this year, 19 of our 26 member companies.
So can you tell us how Theater Walk started, Talia?
Sure. It was an idea I had on the way to a Theater Santa Fe board meeting one day 5 years ago, I believe, by now.
Wow.
And
Didn't know that.
I come from Canada, and a city specifically that has the largest fringe festival in North America, Winnipeg, Manitoba. And I thought this would be a perfect place for a fringe festival, but Theater Santa Fe was very new. Collaborating between companies was also quite new. And I knew we weren't quite ready for a full-out fringe. And so I thought, why don't we just do a little sampling? It's like a little tiny mini fringe, just a one afternoon rather than 10 days or something.
And so what's different about it this year from other years?
Well, location. So the location for this year's Theater Walk is the Outlet Malls, Santa Fe, fashion outlet malls. People know it by various things, but fashion outlets, I think, is how
Fashion
they know
outlets is
themselves.
how they know it.
Yeah. And it's way south on Cerrillos, but it's an easy drive. Just keep going on Cerrillos until you are almost at Highway 25.
Right, and 14,
and 14 where they diverge, and so it's right there on the left. And the beauty of the Santa Fe outlet malls is that they're not doing as well as they would like to be doing, so they have some empty storefronts. So I was eyeing this 3 years ago already as a potential spot. But at that time, we still had quite a number of spaces in this district that we could utilize as venues. We still have some fabulous theater spaces.
And
like
that was my
Paraguas.
next question, is why did we change venues this year?
We changed venues this year because I wanted it to be a little bit more contained, a little bit more manageable. I wanted a real festival feel, and we aren't really quite certain how many people are going to be comfortable to come out. And
Yeah,
even a
that's true.
small audience in the outlet malls is going to feel like a fabulous festive experience. If you have a small audience spread out on all the streets of Siler, it's not going to feel,
it feels
feels a little bit empty. And so we've had up to 800 people in these theater walks when we were still live 2 years ago, 3 years ago. And we've had as little as 400. So audiences have always been fabulous, and they may be again. And if there are 800 people in the outlet mall, so be it, we'll manage.
We'll manage.
But even if we don't, it'll still feel fabulous and festive. And if we were spreading out in this neighborhood now, there are lots of places that we used as venues. We have a few solid theaters that are left, and we're super grateful for that, Paraguas and the Lab primarily. But Cacao Chocolate is gone, Dual Brewery is gone. The dance space, I don't know about, but I know that we couldn't use it anymore. Confetti Party Hall is gone. You know, there's just so many places that we co-opted as venues that no longer exist.
Well, explain some of the venues we're going to be in, because they're special.
They're special.
They are special,
There's the
guys,
Nike
really.
store.
Yes, I know. Also, we can turn our chairs around in some of the venues and not even have to leave.
No. So
I know.
the difference this year is, instead of plotting out your day half an hour at a time and knowing that you're going to take a mad dash down a block and a half to get to the next show,
Right.
you can now park your butt and stay there for an hour and see 3 different productions.
I know. How are they going to do that?
they're just going to move their chairs in some cases because some of them, like the old Nike store, is big enough that we have one theater set up on this wall, one theater set up on this wall, while the next one is preparing over here. So audiences just swivel 90 degrees and see a whole new show.
And so they can see 4 shows?
Three shows.
Three shows.
3 shows in an hour. So every 20 minutes there will be a show, but we do not anticipate that people are going to leap up after 15 minutes and try to make it to another venue for the next show. There's no reason to. I've diversified the programming so that there is something fabulous happening every single time in every venue. And there are only 4 venues.
Right.
The two large venues that have got these rotating stages will start at noon and go right through to 6:30. And then there are 2 smaller venues that will have 3 companies that do share the stage. So they will have to step off the stage and the new company come in. So the audiences won't be rotating. But there are still 3 companies in an hour, and audiences can see those 3 shows and then go to a new venue and see another 3. And there are 2 breaks that are built into the afternoon.
And what about seating, Talia?
Seating,
Our
so we
big
have
thing, seating this year.
some chairs. We do have some chairs. So people that come without their own chairs will probably find a seat, but there will be 20 to 30 chairs per venue.
Per venue.
And that's it. So we highly recommend.
But you bring your own, right?
Yeah, you bring your own.
Yeah.
Bring a little camp stool, bring that fold-up chair. I know I've got at least 4 or 5 of them in my garage that I
too.
don't ever
Bring your
use.
yoga mat, whatever.
Whatever you want to do, that's right. Make yourself comfortable, and then you'll have the best seat in the house because you can just plop yourself down beside the seating that exists. And the venues are all large enough that there is plenty of open space.
Great.
That
So
people
are there
manage.
any special visitors this year?
There
Because
are, as a matter of fact.
I don't even know myself, so
Yes.
could you tell me who it is?
Yes, Wise Fool.
Oh,
Wise
they're
Fool is
coming.
our special invitational,
Okay.
special guest this year. Couple of reasons for that. I thought of them immediately because we wanted some action in the courtyard.
Right.
We anticipate that there will be some people who don't choose to go into a venue every single hour, and
Right.
they can choose to stay in the courtyard, and they need something to do. So we have 2 happenings right in the courtyard. Wise Fool will be there with their stilts and their jugglers, and I don't even know
Great.
what else. And Classic Theater has also kindly consented to lend us their Wandering Minstrels from last year's As You Like It. So I'm really excited about that because those guys were terrific.
They were.
I saw the show last year.
Yeah.
And so they're in costume and they're going to be wandering about as well.
Beautiful.
And then Wise Fool will actually be in one of the venues that has an open ceiling with steel beams that looks not unlike
So
this.
they'll also be doing.
They'll be rigging in there, so they'll do
Great.
their aerial work indoors, which will be easier for them and
Fabulous.
lovely for us. So they will be one of the scheduled shows.
Great.
And the other guests that people may not be too familiar with is IAIA, because as an educational facility and institution, they've never been members of Theater Santa Fe until just very recently. So they've got a spot. So that's our very newest company, and they have just finished a run of short plays by the same playwright, and so they will be offering them one of those short plays. So they're perfectly prepared, and students will be doing that.
And if I'm starving, what do I do?
Oh, thank you for asking. Yes, food trucks. Gotta have food trucks. We'll have 2 food trucks, one New Mexican and one Italian. So you can get pizzas and other Italian fare, and you can also get all your New Mexican favorites.
Perfect.
So the taco truck.
We don't know where
outside.
they're going to be quite yet.
I
do we?
think they will be right outside the main entrance.
I
I
think
think you will
that's
see them
great.
as soon as you arrive.
Perfect.
And there is also one sweet shop that is right in the mall.
Right in the
It's
mall.
right there beside the restrooms. So
Mhm.
I'm expecting that they will sell a lot of chocolates and a lot of ice cream that day. They've been warned.
And I'm not sure if they have coffee or anything. We
They
have to
must
find
have.
out. I
No,
think
I'm
so
sure they
too.
do.
But it's right next to the restaurants, it's right in the mall, it's very easy to find, so yeah, we'll have all of that.
And that is basically the courtyard we're taking over.
Mhm.
That one, as you enter the mall, you would turn to the right, and that's the courtyard where all the action will be. So we've got 2 venues in there, and then the other 2 are right beside the main entrance. So you don't have to go down the left-hand hallway at all, they're just right there beside the front entrance.
And how much is this gonna cost me?
A fortune,
Oh,
we
no,
need
I
money.
can't
No,
go.
it's by donation, it's by donation. And so
Excellent.
it costs nothing. If you've got something in your pocket that you want to throw in the bowl as you enter, that'd be great.
We would love it.
And for that, you will get a program. And the program will have information on all of the happenings and some lovely artwork by Greg Malone. He's doing all of our ads this year and setting the program up together, and it's lovely. So it's
And there will be tables at the entrance and further on for Theater Lovers Club and Theater Santa Fe. There will also be people walking around with donation buckets, everybody. So if you can throw in $1 or $2 for the companies and the time, we would definitely appreciate it. But we do want you to know that this year, the most important thing is we want you to come, to just be there with everybody. That would be the best thing for all of this.
Absolutely.
So Talia, I have a couple of more questions.
Just going to show off this little card just so you have some name recognition, our logo recognition. And so when you see our ads and pass out, or you hear about us on the radio, you'll have a bit of a visual.
So how many companies this year? And I have one more after that.
19 companies, 18 in venues, and then classic theater outside in the courtyard.
Beautiful. Looking so, I'm
Yay,
looking forward
it's
to
gonna be
this so
wonderful.
much.
I think we all are really happy to be getting back to live theater.
Really. So
Absolutely.
what about the future? That's the only other question I have to ask.
Well,
you
we'll
right now.
see.
What do you think?
Putting it in the outlet mall is my great experiment, and it runs like clockwork in my head. I think it's going to be absolute perfection, and now we're going to try it, and we're going to see whether that vision is really going to be a reality. If we absolutely love it there, I think we found our new home. If we're not that crazy about it, then
we'd be back here?
we'd be back here.
To
We'd be
the
back
side
here,
of it.
and we'd make that work. Yeah. And we could have made it work this year. It just felt like this might be a good time to experiment over there.
Well, with COVID and everything, everybody being outside, this gives us a lot more opportunity for people to get into closed venues.
Well,
You know.
there is, of course, the courtyard space, so they can still stay outdoors
That's
a
what I
lot.
mean.
And the venues are so large.
That's
That's
what I
the
mean.
other thing that we
Very
like, yeah.
large, yeah,
The
lots of space.
enclosed spaces are nothing like Jewel Brewery or Chocolate Shop would have been in the other years, where you are really cheap and jowl. These are really open spaces. People will have to, in the large venues, they will have to move their chairs to see the next show. They don't just turn their heads.
Right.
These are huge venues.
And I think in terms of whether or not people decide to wear a mask, it's totally up to you. At this point, it's totally up to you.
As per regulations, I
Yeah.
think they're always appreciated, and people that are vulnerable in any way already
Definitely.
are keeping their masks on, and that's up to them. And we will welcome everybody, and if you are feeling vulnerable, wear a good N95 mask, and just stay off to the side, because the venues are huge enough that you never have to feel like you will have to sit beside somebody. You can social distance all you want.
Thank you, Talia. That's been great. Thank you so much, everybody. We have another half of this program. Scott is going to now.
And I think there's one question from the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry. One question from the floor.
About how long is each presentation?
Thank you for asking. These are plays that I've told them they have 12 minutes. So I'm anticipating they're between 8 and 12 minutes in length. Companies have another couple of minutes to introduce themselves to their audience and to present anything they'd like them to know about what they do or what they might have coming up in their season, and really connecting. This is, I'm calling it guerrilla theater at its finest. There is zero tech. It's just the actors and the audience and the director or whoever is going to represent your company and speak directly to the audience. And so it's just really a connector for audiences and companies.
Just to get everybody out and back together.
Exactly. Jan?
Is there like a membership that people that are new to town or tourists or something like that?
Absolutely. On the table, when they first enter the mall, there will be volunteers there. They'll be handing out programs. They'll be encouraging donations, and they will be encouraging sign-ups. So people can sign up for the newsletter for Theater Santa Fe. Once they get to the website, they can delve more into everything we have to offer, including Theater Lovers Club that's presenting tonight, and how they can utilize that membership to great advantage and really get involved in the theater scene.
And then we'll have a Theater Lovers Club, I think, table somewhere in the middle of the courtyard, so drop in and visit us as
Right.
well.
And we'll also have Wise Fool, of course, will be presenting what they do at a table, and live arts. If you haven't heard the term live arts, you will in the future. Also known as Save the Greer. So Live Arts will have an informational table there as well. Save the Greer is a big initiative. They're just waiting for the city to send out the notice for proposals, and they've got a huge one to take over the Greer.
Okay, thank you so much, Talia.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jan, and I'm here sitting next to Scott Harrison, who is the founder and the artistic director of Ironweed Productions. And I hear you're 17 this year.
Yes, 17 years.
17 years. Oh my God, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we're here tonight to discuss with Scott his new show that opens this week. He's going to tell us all about it. And as an example of the kind and quality of theater you will see at Theater Walk. So we kind of blended these two programs together so that everybody could get a little teaser. So anyhow, tell us the name, where it is. It's in this room. Tell us the name of your show.
It's called Back to the Studio, an evening of scenes from the Plays of Rebecca Gilman.
That's a lot to say.
Yeah, it's a
Lot to
mouthful.
say. That's cool. And it opens this week, Thursday, correct?
Yeah, it opens Thursday, it runs this Thursday through Sunday, Thursday night, and it's actually next door at the Second Space.
Right.
And it's
Right.
Thursday through Saturday at 7:30 and Sunday at 2.
Cool. And tickets are available.
Probably the easiest is on our website, which is ironweedsantafe.com. You
Cool.
can get tickets there.
Yeah, that's where I bought mine. I'll be there on Thursday night. That's great.
Cool.
All right, so what we're going to do tonight is maybe rummage around in Scott's experience and how he put this show on, how he chose it after a 2-year almost hiatus for the company. And we'll get a little teaser scene from a couple of his actors. So anyhow, why don't you, well, how would you like this to work? You want to do your scene and then play a little catch up, or would you like to talk a little bit about how you chose this idea?
Yeah, we could just talk a little bit about it and have Matt and Emily do the scene.
Right.
Just to give
We're
a
gonna
sense of what
move
it's
a
like.
little furniture to get everybody in.
Yeah.
So, what was your spark that made you pick this? Sounds like a lot of work. How many scenes?
6.
There's 6 scenes with all different actors
Mhm.
and all of that.
Yeah.
Very great. So tell us how you landed on this. What was the spark that ignited you?
Well, I mean, this project, interestingly, actually the seed of this project was a journal entry that I wrote. I was just looking through my journals recently, and it was May 1st a year ago, and we were still in the middle, a year into the pandemic. And I have a little artistic journal, which is actually right here, and I write just an artistic thought, like every day. And this particular day, May 1st, 2021, I wrote, I want to go back to the studio, be an artist again, dig my hands into the earth, the soil. And then the next day, I looked at that as I was, gonna and I was like, I wonder, what does that, what does that mean? What does that look like? And it was this little seed I followed, and when I kind of follow those little seeds, they usually just take me in an unexpected place. But I really, when I looked at it, I just had that feeling of, if I were a musician, I would just want to go back with maybe another musician with my guitar and a piece of paper and pencil, and just like write some music together. That was kind of the feeling that I had, and so it kind of just developed in this idea of just wanting to work with another actor in the studio on some really compelling material. And the way it kind of evolved from there was, actually I was just standing right over there when we were doing 26 Miles this fall, and I remember thinking, like, I just want to go back and study again. And Wendy Chapin, who we've all studied with, some of us for many years, some of us just very recently, she's a profound teacher, a nurturer of acting and actors and the craft of acting. And I thought, I just want to go back and start studying with her again. And several of us, we've taken several classes over the years. Emily has just started studying with her in this project. We've talked over the years about some of the scenes that we see in those classes and think, man, people should see this. People are just doing this really wonderful work. Adam Harvey, who's in this project, had said that to me once. And so I thought, I wonder if we could do a kind of a scene study and we could actually perform it for the public. Because when I lived in Washington, D.C., I studied at a theater, the Studio Theater, and they would always have final scenes at the end of the last class would always be an open to the public final scene, and they were hugely popular. And you'd get a chance to see other actors who were doing stuff, you'd get to see people you hadn't seen, just see some wonderful material. So this idea kind of came out of that, and I talked to Wendy about it, and thankfully she said, I'd love to do it. And kind of the interesting other side bit about it, about how Rebecca Gilman got involved, and hence the long title, is, you can't really do scenes from plays. You can't just perform scenes from plays for the public without getting permission. And a lot of playwrights don't give you permission to do, to just do snippets of their work. They want you to do the whole play. And somehow I thought about Rebecca Gilman because I love her plays. And fortunately, we talked to their publishing company, Dramatic Publishing, and they said, yeah, we'll give you the rights to apply just to do scenes from her stuff. And so then it just became also this thing about let's dig into like one playwright, let's look at, and she's an incredibly diverse
great
writer.
chops.
Yeah.
Goodman teaches at Northwestern.
Yeah, so she's,
it's pretty fantasy.
yeah, so that's been a really wonderful element too. And then the artists that we got involved, Matt and Emily, who you'll see, and we've got 10 other actors that are involved, just an incredible, and Wendy and I got a list together, so we'd love to have these artists involved, and so yeah, that's kind of how it all evolved from a journal entry.
Talk about doing it the hard way. Couldn't just pick a nice little American play, Ed. Good for you. I think that's thrilling. You have a lineup of actors that I haven't seen in a few years. I am absolutely thrilled just to see these guys on stage that I haven't seen in a couple of years that have been part of Ironweed. I saw True West. I think it was the first show you did with you in 2006. So I've been hanging around Ironweed. So this is really a really exciting idea. So how much do the actors have to do with all of this, or did Wendy pick 6 scenes she knew were good to go? To me, that's like finding the pony, in the little pile of rubber. And so, I think that's a great backstory. How did you decide on which 6 scenes?
Well, we started reading the plays when we thought about Rebecca Gilman, and we she just writes it, and she writes about, social work, she writes about racism, she writes about, prostitution, all the stalking, all these different, but she writes them from very human places of these very human characters and these really compelling stories. So we read a lot of her plays, and we just found, wow, there's plenty of material in here. So Wendy, she cast the scenes, and she gave everyone the play, and she said, here's the 2 characters I'd love for you to do. There may be 1 or 2 scenes in there. You can pick whichever one you want to work on.
Oh, that's kind of, wow.
Yeah, and then the way we've done it is Wendy isn't a director in this. She's, and again, she's a profound teacher of the craft of acting. And so what we've done is she assigned the scenes and the partners. So we have 6 scenes and 6 pairs. And we all met for the first time together. We all meet on Sundays. And she asked us all like where we were, kind of. She just had to share a little bit about where we were. And the interesting thing is everyone was in a similar place. Like, I just want to kind of get back to working on some really, I want to get back to working on this stuff.
Yeah, right.
And so we meet once a week, and we put our scenes up, and Wendy and the other people in the ensemble give us feedback. Sure. And then we go and we work together, just the pairs, we just work together for another week. And then we come back on Sunday and we gather again. So we've been working on this, each of us have been working on a scene for 8 weeks, which is a luxury.
Go home and do it on your cell phone, rehearse.
Well, we tried to do it in person as much as we could, just because it's the whole, but some people, because of, the COVID things we're navigating, some people have had to do some on Zoom. it's really, and Wendy, the way she works too, she's very much about supporting the actor, and so it's very much like an actor in power and kind of experience.
And thank you for doing the female playwright.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's just wonderful, and
Yeah.
she it is. I mean, as you'll see if you see the scenes, I mean, they're just so diverse, and the voices that she has for these different, just vastly different people in different parts of the country, it's really, really compelling.
Awesome, I can see you selling this out, the very dynamics of the material, the actors that you have, the timing, everything seems to be just right for this to be happening at this moment. Do you have a favorite scene? And I don't mean actors, I mean, do you have one that tells a story that really hits home?
I really like them all. I mean, because they're so different. I mean, they're so different, you know. And it's just been, I mean, just to sit in the room with all of us that are in this project has just, I mean, it's been really, really meaningful. And just a very supportive, generous group, and under Wendy's leadership. To me, like, we had our last workshop on Sunday, and I was like, you know what? Regardless of what happens in the next week, like, this time that we've had has been really, really special.
Awesome. Are you gonna do any talkbacks or anything where this kind of exchange would happen, or is that too much?
No, we didn't. Yeah, we didn't plan any talkbacks. But you know, and it's very much. I mean, it's a very small seating. We're the actors are going to watch this. It's as if we're in the class almost, because we'll be sitting in the audience watching. We'll be doing the scene changes. It's very sparse. So it's very much that feeling of like we're in a class. Yeah, so it's very much about a process. Like, here's where we are right now, and we'll learn something tonight from the audience, and then we'll maybe do something completely. You know, we'll do some different things tomorrow night.
I sort of see that that's the way things are kind of going. I mean, Ironweed is known for the American experience, plays like Our Town and True West and things like that. How are you guys, or you as the artistic director, handling that shifting universe of the American experience without doing a play about COVID? Something like it. How is that evolving, or are you able to stay true to that early mission?
Well, I mean, and I did think about that a lot over COVID, of just like wanting to be just kind of open to the moment of what things look like as we move out of this, and what resonates with me, and what resonates with other people. And I mean, I think to me that's why this project kind of feels like it's part of that, because I mean, when Ironweed started, it was really this thing of like, this is the project we're going to do, and I don't know what project we're going to do next, because this feels like the
Okay,
right
well then I'll
project.
scratch that question out.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yes.
I
Yeah,
was
what
going
are
to
you
ask you,
doing next?
where's
Yeah.
the wind taking you
Yeah.
as Ironweed? So there's nothing yet.
Well, we do have some thoughts on some things,
Sure.
but it's really like, in this too, that's a very workshop feeling. It's very, to me, it just
Yeah.
feels very like, let's have a room and space to explore and not feel pressure and so that's also been really nice about this, is just to have space to explore, take chances, make mistakes, learn
You should
from
write
them.
in that journal all the time. Some good ideas. Yeah, seed scenes, I call it. Well, shall we do it? And
Jan, I have a question.
do you have a question coming through?
Yeah.
Sure.
Could you let us know who is going to be involved in these scenes?
Yes, what actors are
Who are
involved?
the
You have
actors?
memorized?
Yes, so
Okay.
we have Adam Harvey, Tula Dillman, Joey Chavez, who is returning to the stage. He's been obviously doing wonderful things with Santa Fe High and New Mexico School for the Arts. We're thrilled about that. Karen Ryan, Vanessa Rios Valles, Scarlett Williams, Mona Malik, myself, Matt Sanford, and Emily Rankin, who you'll see, and Lynn Goodwin and Peter Chapman. And then we
Wow.
also had a couple, Kate Keita and Dale Dunn, actually were observers on the process and kind of also gave us feedback, you know, during the
That's a really
So,
sweet
yeah,
list of
just a great
actors.
group of people.
Really, yeah. Well, we'll take some more questions when we get our scene through, so work your magic, what you want to do with your actors.
Sure, I think so. We're going to have a scene from Blue Surge with Matt Sanford and Emily Rankin, and I think what we'll do, if we do adjust the camera, I mean, we've got the set up here.
Okay.
The way that's going to work in the scene, the evening of scene, so I'll just do that. Is we'll have an actor come up and introduce and give a little context on the scene and say who's in it.
Cool.
And so I'll do that once we're kind of ready to go, and then we'll have an introduction.
Okay.
So here's a quick intro. This is in Gilman's 2001 play Blue Surge. Kurt is a small-town cop struggling to define his personal and professional identities, subsequently putting a strain on relationships around him. After being complicit in botching a prostitute sting, Kurt attempts to fix the life of a teenage prostitute, Sandy. Prior to this scene, Kurt's fiancée, Beth, discovers the girl inexplicably staying in Kurt's apartment. And while she attempts to confront him about it, he chases after Sandy, leaving Beth alone with nothing but questions. While working on the scene, Emily and Matt focused on exploring relationship, authenticity, vulnerability, and pushing against bad habits. And this is from Blue Surge.
Oh my God, you're here. Ah. I needed to get something. I came over to get something.
What?
Nothing. I was gonna wait for you. I thought we should talk. Where's your car?
Ran out of gas?
Where did you run out of gas?
Just down the street. I keep track by the gauge, but you know, it was broken. I wasn't washing the odometer, so you know all this.
Where have you been?
Driving around. Drove by your place.
Why didn't you come in?
I figured you probably never wanted to talk to me again.
Oh, the thought occurred to me.
I've been an idiot.
You've been something.
I am an ass.
Did you sleep with that girl?
Look, I told you already, and either you're going to believe me or you're not.
It's just, I can tell something went on, and I just don't know what.
We just talked.
And?
I liked talking to her. Okay, I felt really comfortable around her. We didn't fight. I'm always fighting with you.
So you like her more than me?
No, I don't know. I mean, it was nice for a change to be able to talk about things that I can't always talk about with you.
Like what?
Just things about my past and stuff.
Well, what exactly?
Things, you know, about my mom.
Well, I already know about your mom, so you can
You
talk
know,
to me about that.
other things that you don't want to hear about because they're gross to you.
Could you give me an example?
Just things that I don't think you would understand because you're rich.
I am not rich.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Your parents are rich.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. They have rooms in their house they don't even use.
That's your standard?
Yes?
Well, I'm not rich.
Yeah, you don't make much money, but you're rich. I mean, yes, you're broke.
Yeah,
but
I'm broke.
Because you're an artist. But you picked that. That was your choice. And most people don't get to choose. Okay? They're just fucked. From day one, they're fucked. And in some cases, literally.
But do I treat you like... Am I being insensitive or something? And I don't think of myself as a snob or something.
No, I mean, guess not. It's not like you're openly down on poor people, you know? You're not openly down on me, and I'm poor, right?
I'm not down on you at all. I'm proud of you. You know, I look at where you came from, and I think it's amazing that, like, you're not in jail or something.
Right.
No, that sounded bad.
No, I understand. You're happy that I'm not in jail. But I'm also not where I'm supposed to be, am
What?
I? I'm not on track. I'm falling behind, right? Because you have some kind of like a program for me, yeah, or a timeline. Like at this point, I'm supposed to be lieutenant, or captain, or fucking mayor. I don't know. But whatever it is, I'm not doing it. You know, I'm going nowhere in my job. I have no money. It's not shaping up the way I'm supposed to, am I?
I want what's best for you because I love you.
I'm glad you think that. But I don't always think that.
How can you not think that?
I think that sometimes I am just a cop that you met at a bar. And you're still looking for some way to shock your friends. You know, because who would have ever thought that you would marry some jackass cop? What could be more shocking than marrying a guy who was raised by wolves?
You're not some sort of statement. You're who I want to marry.
Yeah, even though I was raised by wolves, by insane wolves.
I don't know what you mean by that.
I mean, I don't know how to talk. I don't know how to be around people. When you said that you would go out with me, I couldn't believe it. You know, I freaked, basically. I thought, I better not fuck this up because I am never going to get another chance like this again. So, for the last 4 years, I have just been trying to not fuck up. Just trying not to say the wrong thing. Trying not to let anybody know that growing up in my house, a big meal was deviled ham and crackers.
You're exaggerating.
I'm not.
Well, then so what?
So what?
Say it's true.
It is true
Well, then what's your point?
that a big meal at my house was deviled ham and crackers. Is my point.
Do you want me to feel sorry for you? 'Cause you're doing a pretty good job of that yourself.
Thanks.
No, I'm sorry you had a shitty childhood, and I wish I could change it, but I can't. And it's in the past. And it's not an issue with me, is my point.
So I should just get over it?
Well, not get over it, but you could move past it, I think.
Do you think that that is maybe easier for you to say because it's not an issue for you?
I mean, my parents were definitely, middle class.
Rich.
Upper middle class, but doesn't mean I don't understand what you're talking about or that I don't care. I do care. But it's where you come from, you know? It's not who you are.
What?
It's not who you are.
If it's not who I am, then who the hell am I? You know, if it's not who I am, then why am I sitting in this shitty fucking pathetic apartment? Right? Why am I not in a mansion somewhere? Why don't I have a PhD in Italian Renaissance history or whatever? Why don't I just sit on my ass eating pine nuts, summering in Cape Cod, okay? If it's not who I am, then why am I so fucking poor?
I don't know.
It's because this is who I am.
You don't have to be that way, though. You act like you have to be that way, but you don't if you don't want to. You don't have to be poor. If you work hard enough, if you're smart enough, and you do, and you are. So I don't know what the problem is. Sometimes I think you want to be poor.
What?
Maybe you want to be poor or something. Like, you know, they say that about people's attitudes, like they sabotage themselves unconsciously sometimes. Like, you know, like people sometimes, they don't really want to win, and so they just give up.
Are you being serious?
I don't know. Yeah, sometimes I think it wouldn't matter to you if we ate at Arby's for the rest of our lives.
I don't give a shit where we
Well,
eat.
I do. I want to eat someplace nice sometimes.
Go right ahead. You have the money.
I want nice things for both of us. Things for the future. Like I wanted to show you those lofts at downtown, and you wouldn't even
God,
come and look at
I don't
them.
want to live in a loft.
Well, what do you want? Want to hang out with teenage prostitutes and people who watch NASCAR videos for an entire weekend?
Will you lay off Doug, please?
He watches the same race over and over, and he already knows who won.
So what?
He's an idiot.
He is my best friend. So what else? What else do you hate about me?
I don't hate anything.
You hated my mom.
I didn't hate her.
She was dying of cancer. She was sitting there dying of cancer, and you couldn't spend 3 fucking seconds with her.
I don't want to be in a house that smells like dog shit, okay? I mean, who would? And I don't think that's because I'm rich. I think it's because I have a modicum of self-respect, and I don't want to live my life surrounded by filth.
And poor people would, right?
No.
Because poor people are disgusting, and they're lazy, and
That's
they
not
stink,
what
and they
I'm
scream,
saying.
and if you get too close to them, they're going to drag
That
you
is
down with them.
not what I said.
Yeah, you don't have to, Beth, okay? Forget about my mom's house for a minute. You won't even spend the night in my fucking apartment. You can't stand to be where I live. It's the best I can do. And I clean it, and I clean it, and I clean it, and it's still not good enough. You still make me spend the night at your house because you have to get up early, even though you don't actually have to get up that early because you're a fucking artist in the school, for God's sake. I mean, what is that? And I keep wondering why. You just won't let me go. Because deep down, you hate who I really am. My whole life, my whole past, all that shit that you're so proud of, that's me pretending to be somebody else. Everything else about me makes you want to puke. Is this what you do when I'm not around? Like I'm some fucking pig, some fucking piece of slime, and if you're not here to keep me in line, I'm just gonna sink in my own shit? All the shit of my life? All the shit that is me? Like you're not shit? Like you don't fucking suck? You wanna stand here and condescend to me like I'm a fucking retard who can't even tie his shoes? That's why you keep me around. Because you can't stand to be alone in a room unless there's someone else around for you to look down on.
Oh, I know you can tie your shoes. You just can't make lieutenant on some crappy-ass police force. What if this was a real city? What would you be doing? Digging ditches? Oh, digging up graves.
You can't do that without being changed, I think. That may be not a fair question to ask you, but I'm going to ask it anyhow.
Just in terms of how the scene
Well,
affects us?
I mean, actors, I think, they become different people, of course. But then in your personal life, I mean, that was really hard. Those were hard words that you guys were saying to each other. How do you feel differently about yourself playing this role, this guy, this cop?
For me personally, and I'll let Emily speak to it as well. Not let, allow, permit.
Thanks.
Yes, no.
I'll go along with it.
No, for in my experience, this conversation kind of came up in class a few weeks ago. The idea of who uses and how they use substitution in our work, and we got into a really interesting sort of philosophical discussion around substitution and when it's effective and when it's not, because in some cases, we talk about substitution as this thing that like it gets us into the emotional place. It gives you that sense memory of.
Why don't you explain that? What you mean by substitution?
Substitution, generally speaking, means recalling a memory or a sensation or an experience that you've had from your own personal life that, while it might not be a direct a direct correlation to what you're working on, it gives you a sense, a foundation from which to work from towards the actions of the scene.
The writer does that.
Yes, that helps as well.
Yeah.
And what we're talking about is that while it can be effective for some people, that depending on just what your life experience as an actor is, it can actually be a very dangerous place to go to for actors. And so for me, in my own experience, and I think it's really integral for myself in my own process to just like be honest about where my work comes from in my process. And so for me, it's like I've in a lot of ways in my past been in this situation, and it's such a hard thing to do to love somebody and still know that it's wrong. And when you as an actor or just as a human being are able to embrace that idea, you're sort of freed from the chains of it. And in our process, that has allowed much more access to what I hope is the authenticity of that lived experience being told.
Well, it's in the scene where she's asking you to get over it.
Right.
Right.
And for him, it's something that's integral to his identity.
It's
Yeah.
totally a part of it.
Yeah.
Nicely put.
Thank you.
Nicely put, yeah. Emily?
Well, I just love what Matt said. Those are great points. And I'm thinking back to, we started in this class with really looking at the opening moment of the scene and just only working that opening moment with Wendy for several weeks, which was a real struggle for me, because in this scene we both have to we're both surprised by the other one being there and have to completely throw out everything we were planning to do as a character and have this conversation instead. But I've been really fascinated during this process by the questions that we've been asking ourselves about the subtext of this scene, because both of these characters are making such great points. There is no right and wrong side.
Beautifully balanced, yes.
And there was a shift,
several weeks ago, where we were talking about, the anger of, you're assuming the worst in me, or you don't love me, or, that kind of subtext running underneath the scene. And then we shifted to the idea of, what if the whole scene is just us asking each other, do you love me? And for me, that's such a universal feeling that we can all tap into, those moments of wondering if these people who are close to us really love us for who we are, and are there conditions, and if so, what are they? And so for me, it was just sort of wonderful to open up to that kind of universal feeling and dive more deeply into it, and to feel safe with an acting partner to do that and to play.
The safety was really apparent. Yeah, you worked on that. I mean, I was sitting over there, codependency, all these things. Thank you for that. Does anybody have a question, either on chat or from the audience, for these fine actors? Yes, Suzanne?
I felt like you all, I believe in that relationship from the word go. Had you all ever met before you met each other in the scene study class?
No.
Because it doesn't feel that way, and that's a tremendous compliment to you both.
That's a
Thank
relief.
you.
Yes, Jennifer?
At the end, Matt's the one that is really shooting the zingers to Emily. And it was wonderful just to watch you deal with that and not deal with that at the same time. Did you have an inner dialogue that you absolutely were going through as Matt was accusing you of not really loving the real him?
I'm sure I did, but in the moment, I'm just so focused on what he's saying and listening to him, which is really lovely when you have an acting partner that you can really give your attention to in that way. That it's really helped me get out of my head and stop thinking, how do I look, and what's the audience thinking, and should I open out, cheat out more, something like that. It's been
Your
really
listening was beautiful.
lovely. Oh, thank you.
No, in class, listen. She did it. You did it.
Yeah, it's very interesting because when you've got a scene, especially at the end, where one person has all the dialogue and the other person doesn't, how do you balance that equally? And we knew exactly what you were feeling and what you were thinking. It was quite transparent. He was saying how he was feeling, but we were watching how you were feeling. It was wonderful.
And just for context, at the end of the scene, it's while it may seem that Kurt is just tearing into her, which he does, her last her final lines are a reference to information that you find out earlier in the play when she talks about what would you be doing, digging ditches or digging graves. That is a somewhat murderous statement to Kurt, because Kurt's father, who abandoned their family as a young child, was a grave robber. He was a professional grave robber.
Oh, wow.
And so her knowing the intimacy of that wound is just, yeah.
Yeah, we both trade.
There's a lot of blood
there at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we have to go and see the whole thing so we can get the context. So great. All right, opens this Thursday. Oh, another question. Yes, ma'am.
Just as a comment, this is so valuable to be limited to one scene. So many times in a play, we're following the storyline, we're saying what's going to happen next, and here, I knew I wasn't going to find out what happened next. It was like a theatrical representation of Ram Dass's Be Here Now. It really helped us focus, and I'm going to carry that with me to when I'm watching full productions and try to focus on each scene as totally as you gave me the chance to focus on this. Thank you.
Well, and that's the wonderful thing about Rebecca Gilman too, is all of her work is so nuanced and full of depth, and you know, every time we do the scene, we find something new that we haven't seen before, and it's just, her work is fantastic. You can take one little section and just delve down forever, it feels like, with her.
Awesome,
Yeah.
great. Anybody else? Got a question? All right.
Well, bravo.
So this is a sample of what you'll see at Theater Walk, this kind of high-quality acting, little small snippets. So I do want to mention that next up on TLC, Theater Lovers Club, is June 14th, and it's Summer Shakespeare. And it might just be outside. We're working on that. Please remember to check Theater Santa Fe website. On the calendar, we're on there every show. And for your tickets, go to Ironweed Productions, and the red button right there, buy your tickets for
And
the show.
then we have one more event happening on June 26th. We have a Theater Lovers Club Steps Out. David, would you want to tell us about that?
Yes, David, come up and sit here. Okay, can you leave your camera? David is videotaping.
Tri-M is offering an invitation to their Spring Awakening matinee and a talk back after that that TLC members are welcome to come to. So, and there's a way on the website to register and let us know how many people are interested, and we're looking forward to it.
Yep.
Great,
So two nice
wonderful.
events to look forward to in addition to Theater Walk. So, cool. Anything else? Any
Oh,
other
there's
comments?
lots of theater, so,
Lots of
we have
theater.
lots of opportunities.
We're getting what we asked for. Now we gotta go. Scott, any final words? You wanna come up here and bless anything? With,
Thank you all for having us. It's really
thank you for
appreciate
coming.
you inviting us.
It's a treat when we can have our actors come and do such a splendid, tantalizing tease. Thank you.
Thank
Take
you
care,
all
everybody.
very much.